What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a look at some news that's coming out of Japan, including an official apology. So maybe we need to start there. You see, it turns out there was a printing error in Premium Booster 09, and there's had to be an official apology and an explanation which has been posted over on the Twitter, the official Twitter for One Piece TCG over in Japan. And it's all to do with the card Gum Gum Lightning. You see, this is actually a decent card. We've got two-cost event, and as a main, Don -2, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6,000 power or less. And then as a trigger, add up to one Don card from your Don deck and set it to active. And for what it's worth, that's actually a good trigger. And it's a trigger we've been seeing literally since the beginning of the game. Like right back in the very first ever purple product, the purple starter deck, we had ourselves Brachio Bomber, which was a pretty decent card. And you know what? That had this same trigger. Add up to one Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. And then, you know, in Op-01, the very first set, we had a very similar thing going on with Thunder Bagua, for instance. Add up to one Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. It's a trigger we've seen a bunch on purple cards, and we know by now it's a good trigger that people use, and let's face it, purple has lots of Don minor skills and all of that. So replacing that Don, replenishing that Don is a good thing, and we've seen these cards see play over and over again. What's the problem in Op-09? They forgot to print the card with the trigger. They printed the card with no trigger. That's a little bit of a problem. If you have a look below the cards here, on the left-hand side, it just gives you the text of the trigger, and on the right-hand side, it says trigger, no effect. So, yeah, that makes a big change. It's a two-cost event, which is fine, but then the trigger makes it a much better card. And I'm just going to jump in here very quickly and let you know that on Friday at about 7:30 p.m. UK time, we are going to be doing a One Piece stream over on Whatnot, doing a bunch of Pirate Flag reverse holos, a bunch of Parallel Don from PRB01. It's going to be a very good stream. We're going to have a bunch of very cool Japanese stuff, including, like I say, Parallel Don and Pirate Flag holos from PRB01, and a pretty exciting giveaway as well. So come join us and use the code whatnot.com/invite/thewassie for £10 credit. As always. Alright, back to the video. The good news is they are saying we will be making an errata change, changing the text content, and basically it is going to be there with the trigger. So the printing error here, I mean, less than ideal, I think it's fair to say. But it's not a case of, whoops, we forgot to print it with the trigger, now it doesn't have a trigger. It's going to be one of those things whereby when we play the card in events, we are playing it as if it had a trigger. And then, you know, hopefully there's going to be a reprint. I don't think they've actually said, I don't believe the announcement says there is going to be a reprint anytime soon. So the rest of it is all supposition. Maybe they are going to just do the next print of Op-09 with the correction. Maybe they've already done a big print of Op-09, so it's too late to do that for a while. Maybe they're about to do another print. Maybe they'll do some replacements. I know Vice Schwartz have done mail-in in the past where you can kind of, I believe it's Vice Schwartz that did it, where you can kind of mail away your old one and get a replacement. There's a bunch of different ways to handle this. But the most important thing at the outset is, don't worry about it. It is as it is supposed to be. Of course, that's going to be a bit confusing, especially for casual players, because a casual player is going to turn up here, they're going to take a life off you, and they're going to go, oh, there's no trigger, thank goodness, that's brilliant. And then you're going to be like, no, mate, I get an extra Don, and that is going to be confusing. But as with all of these kind of things, I've made this point a bunch, and I do think it does bear repeating. We make mistakes sometimes. Like, we all make mistakes in our job. I make mistakes in these videos. You can all see them. You've all made mistakes before. It happens. They're doing what they can to fix it. But this is a card I could see seeing some play in these Luffy decks. So, obviously, it fits in very, very nicely with the new Luffy or other purple decks. So, you know, they're fixing it. What more could we want? Speaking of Luffy, and this is something I should have done in a video a couple of weeks ago, and I apologize, but I'm fixing it now. I went to One Piece Emotion when I was over in Japan. That was the One Piece exhibit, really largely focused around Gear 5 Luffy. Not entirely, but the biggest part of the exhibit was Gear 5 Luffy and that transition and all of that. And I showed you that there was going to be a promo card, and there was, and I got it upon entry, and that was awesome. Now, I did tweet this out, but I haven't actually included it in a video yet, so I just want to take a second here to show you what the card looks like in person. Oh, it's beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. It's really, really nice foiling and texturing on the card. Now, there's a lot of people, because remember, it has been announced that this is going to be given out at One Piece Finals for us, and the only difference is essentially that we're not going to be getting the One Piece Emotion stamp. So there's going to be same card, but, you know, in English without the One Piece Emotion stamp. As it stands at the moment, everyone is just assuming that our card is going to have the exact same texturing as Japan. And it might. There is every possibility that it will, but I'm not sure they've actually announced that yet or shown it off. And there is a real assumption here that it's going to be exactly the same, texturing and everything, just, you know, English instead. And I'm just going to caution you guys a tiny bit here, because we don't know that for certain. And there have been, I believe there's been examples in the past. So just hold your horses for a moment. There is every possibility that we do get the exact same texturing and all as Japan, but let's not treat it as a guarantee until it actually happens. Either way, cool card. And I'm just saying, it's a One Piece Emotion promo. Having the stamp is better. Or maybe I'm just biased because I went. I don't know. Moving on. I told you yesterday, day before, sometime very recently, I told you about Crocodile, this new magazine promo that was going to be coming. I told you it was going to be coming in Psycho Jump, and I told you I was slightly annoyed that I was unable to show you the magazine cover in which it was going to be coming. Well, wonderful news, that magazine is now out as of today, so I can show you the magazine cover. It's coming in this one. And that's very important, because if you're looking to pick up this promo, as I am, you now know which magazine you're actually looking for. It's this one, with Luffy pulling a funny face. Although I will say, as a bit of a side note here, pretty weak on other promos. Because, you know, I buy these magazines for the promos, but generally speaking, you get other promos and other stuff, and that's really rather lovely. This time round, there's like one other promo, I think it's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Promo or something. Not one I'm particularly excited about anyway. Boo! But I've ordered this and I've got the Crocodile promo, and let's face it, that's more important. And there has been an official announcement over in Japan, and I know that that's kind of standard over here as well, but they've gone and done an official announcement that cards will be legal for tournament play from Op09 1 week after the release of the set, at least in terms of flagship battles and Championship 2024. The big ones, the ones with the really good prizes. Essentially, you have to wait a week before you play them. And I showed you, again, a couple of days ago, that the new buggy is looking very, very good. I've seen, and again, it's early and we're only talking about little tournaments, so take this with a pinch of salt. But I've seen some of the other leaders starting to pop up winning tournaments over in Japan. I've seen some exciting Shanks lists. I've seen some exciting Luffy lists. And I'm not saying these are going to become these massive tournament winning decks, best deck in the format or any of that. Not saying that for a second. But I am saying Op09 is looking like an interesting set with some very interesting leaders. And I'm going to show you some more decks over the next couple of weeks, just, you know, showing you how these decks work and how they might end up being good and all of that. And I'm just saying, I've got some hopes for some of these Op09 decks. You got to wait a week to play them, But I think an awful lot of people are going to be looking at this, as in Op09 and the small tournaments, the little results, in advance of these becoming legal, because I think Op09 could end up being really good. But I also know some people are wondering about when cards are legal and all of that. Over in Japan, for the big tournaments, you have to wait 1 week. Wait a week, and then you can go and play them, and jobs are good. Little tournaments and locals and all of that, it's not the same. But big tournaments, you got to wait a while. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Right, so there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know. We've got ourselves a misprint and an official apology for Op09 over in Japan. We've had a quick reminder about that crocodile and exactly where to get it. I showed you that One Piece emotion card, which is beautiful, and a nice little note about legality of Op09 over in Japan. Big story, of course, this big misprint, but don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. For now, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know anything you want to tell me over in the comment section. So go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.